Are you looking to grow your dental practice and attract top-tier new patients? Discover the potential of digital marketing with a personalized strategy session. Join Lila Stone, the marketing director at Equa, for an exclusive 90-minute consultation. Lila and her team will dedicate 6 hours before your meeting to create a customized marketing plan specifically for your practice. This valuable opportunity is free of charge and comes with no commitments. Visit www.insuranceuntangledorg/MSM to schedule your meeting with Lila today. You'll also receive a free analysis report so you can start transforming your practice through the power of digital marketing.
You are now listening to another episode of the Insurance Untangled podcast, where we explore the various challenges faced by dental practices due to their reliance on insurance. Join us in this podcast as we dive deep into the issues surrounding dental insurance dependence and offer practical solutions and strategies to help you take control of your practice's financial future.
Welcome to another amazing episode, an exciting episode of the Insurance Untangled podcast. My name is Ben Tuinei, and I'm one of the co-hosts on this podcast. And as you know, we've really developed this podcast for you, for dental offices that are tangled up with insurance. We talk about all things business related, not just insurance. We talk about everything in an effort to help you take more control of your practice and create a bigger, better, and brighter future for you, your patients, and your team members. Today, I have my co-host with me who I'll interview. I have my co-host, Naren. Naren, how are you today, my friend?
I'm doing great.
Wonderful, wonderful. It's always great picking your brain. We have a really fun episode here today. So here's the title: The 80-20 Rule in Marketing Your Dental Practice. I guess the first thing we can do, Naren, is kind of describe what is the 80-20 rule. And from what I understand is that it's an idea and concept that basically roughly 80% of the effects come from 20% of the causes, right?
Right.
And so we want to kind of talk about that in dentistry as it pertains to dental marketing. So first question I have for you, Naren. What is the 80-20 rule? Probably in a more elaborate detail than what I just shared. And how does it apply to dental marketing?
Yeah, this is a great question. I'm really happy to be here, and I'm really happy to talk about the 80-20 rule in marketing your dental practice. Thank you, Ben. So 80-20 rule, I'm sure many of us have heard about the Pareto principle, right? And the idea that, any situation, like 20% of the people have 80% of the wealth. 20% of the people in a company add 80% of the value, right? So always like there is this, our common sense says it should be equal. So if you have 100 people in a company, all 100 of them are equally adding value. But the reality is 20% of them do 80% of the important stuff or the useful stuff that moves the company forward, while the other 80% don't. So Pareto discovered this, and I think it was one of those aha moments, in the development of the Western civilization to realize that, because then everything started focusing on what are those 20% activities? What are those 20% people that produce 80% of the results? And it's very true for marketing. And I was thinking the other day about attention. We all have the same time in the day. Some of us know to pay attention to certain activities that are 10 times, 20 times, 30 times more powerful than other activities. But many of us don't. So we just pay attention to all activities equally, and therefore we don't really make progress. I mean, there's two camps, right? There are those practices where every year is the same old, meaning kind of same revenue, maybe a little bit better, a little bit down, and that continues year after year after year. And then there are those clockwork. Every year they're up. Every year they're, producing more. Every year they're working less. So they're able to make progress on their goals. If it's revenue, if it's profit, if it's time they work, and every year things are getting better. So the difference between these two camps is, I think the ones who have mastered the 80-20 rule and figured out what those 20% activities are that makes most of the difference, versus the others, they haven't mastered it. So it's not like this universal secret that says, thou shalt, know the secret and thou shalt not know the secret. It's just that some people realize this, some point in their life or career and start leaning in more and more. And they get better and better at finding these 20% activities or 20% decisions. Even decisions, you might be making 100 decisions, but if you think about it, there'll be one or two decisions that make the most of the difference. And sometimes those decisions still only took 1 minute to make, just like the other decisions that are going nowhere or taking you backwards. So like making good decisions. One of the books I love is when it comes to decision making is Thinking Fast and Thinking Slow. And he says there are certain decisions you can think, make it quickly. Like, what am I going to have for lunch? For a lot of us, it's not a big deal. Of course, we know our criteria. Perhaps it has to be healthy and it has to have some vegetables. Okay, great. So what meets the criteria? We can make that decision quickly. And there are other decisions you have to make it slowly, like hiring somebody, for example, for a key role. Because if you don't make the right decision, if you don't get the right person, now you could wait 6 months, trying that person and not working, not working out, and then firing them and hiring a new one. So there are some decisions you better make it slowly and you better think it through. So it's really like mastering this sixth sense, this capability to both, where you put attention as well as how you make decisions with the help of the 80-20 rule, the idea that 20% of what you do makes most of the difference.
Yeah. This is definitely a game of, it's not limited. It doesn't sound like it's just limited to working smarter. It's working smarter and creatively and a bunch of other things, or when you're applying this 80-20 rule. So next question, Naren, is what are some examples of the 20% in marketing that give the biggest results?
Yeah, I think the reason people fail in this 80-20 rule is they don't take the time to understand the fundamentals. What I mean by that is one of my influence growing up was Phil Jackson and Michael Jordan, right? And I was in Chicago when they were playing basketball when Michael Jordan came back. And, Phil Jackson was a master at, the fundamentals. I think he's the one who coined the phrase, the best defense is a great offense. If you're putting scores on the other team's board, that puts a lot of pressure, right? So, it's not only about stopping the other team, it's also about going really hard, So he's all about the fundamentals. So I think in life, there's always a fundamental. For example, when I first came to the US as an 18-year-old and, enrolled in university, the first semester I focused on the fundamentals, which is my mom brought me up in an environment where I need to get an A in every subject. That's not a nice to have, but it's like a given. So I come from a totally different world where the education system was so different. So my goal was to figure out how the American education system works so I could get all A's with the least amount of effort. And I figured out the secret. Show up to class, do your assignments, do your midterms, etc. And if you pay attention, they don't try to make you fail. Where I come from, because of scarcity, the way the system works is they do this one big exam at the end of the year, and their goal is to fail as many people as possible because they have limited number of seats. America is not like that, right? It's like everybody who does what they need to do will keep moving forward. I figured it out. So I just showed up to class. I didn't stress out about anything. I did reasonably well in my assignments, because if you show up to class and pay attention, you will do reasonably well in your assignments. And then the midterm is just a bunch of assignments all, combined together over the last 30 days or 40 days. It was easy. You know what I mean? That's it, right? So you have to figure out the game. So in marketing, the game is really simple, right? Again, what are the fundamentals? First, people have to find you. If they don't find you, nothing else can happen. Then they have to like you. We do business with those we like. Finally, they have to choose you. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. There's no magic. There's no complicated voodoo around marketing. There's no, this trick works and that doesn't. No. Psychology is psychology. Humans are humans. We have been humans for the last, 200,000 years or, 100,000 years. Or I don't know when first humans, I think it was 200,000 years ago when the first humans as we know them today. But anyways, I'm not a history buff.
But, our branch of humanity was segmented in the back. I totally know. Homo sapiens.
Homo sapiens, exactly, right? So we don't change. We don't change in a week or a month. We are the way we are. So how do we help people find you? So what are those 20% activities when it comes to helping people find you? You can buy ads, but the problem with ads is they don't trust it because they know it's an ad. So the first thing that's going through their mind is, what's the catch? What's wrong with this? So how do we get them to find you organically? You can become a social media influencer. That's 1% of you who love becoming social media influencers and are good at becoming it. 99% of you won't have a chance. How do I know it? Out of my 500 clients, less than 5 are those influencers. The other way is SEO, where you show up on Google when people type something in, and pretty much anything in to do with your profession without you paying ad money. So that's find you. And then how do you get people to like you? That's where, videos come in, where you are like, hey, welcome to my Invisalign page. I'm so glad you are here. Remember, they found you organically and ended up on that page. Look at my cases, look at my reviews, call my office. We would love to help you. You like that person because you have already kind of met them virtually through the video, very easy to understand, down to earth, easygoing personality. You like them versus your competition is not doing that. They don't like your competition because they haven't done anything to get them to like them online. And finally, trust, right? And choosing you is all about trust. Get 10 or more Google reviews, nothing more, nothing less. Every month, get 10 or more love letter Google reviews. Love letter reviews are paragraph reviews. Everything else is noise, right? Yes, you can spend money on ads, but they're going to be 5-10 times more expensive. And you're going to have a lot of no-shows. So when you have nothing better to do, spend money on ads. But till you master SEO, until you dominate Google and dominate, liking you and dominate trusting you, which is Google reviews, why are you wasting your time on everything else? You'll go in circles. So those are, like, in my mind, the 20% activities when it comes to marketing. Once you have maxed out, you're like an A+ in all 3, then go do something else. It's kind of like, the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? You need to put food on the table for your family, right? That's number 1. Once you have mastered that, then you can think about other things. So similarly, like, this is the basic, this is the fundamentals, like Phil Jackson talks about in basketball, right? Just master it, get good at it. Don't overthink this. And then just the key to someone like Phil Jackson, who I think won like 6 championships with the Bulls and 5 with the Los Angeles Lakers, is he's consistent. Once he knows what the basics are, he never forgets it. That's the other reason, other thing that differentiates the people who master this 80-20 habit. Like, once they figure out the secret, which is that 20% activities that produce 80% of the results, they just do it day in and day out. They don't get distracted. They don't jump for every new idea. Phil Jackson never changes. He's just like with blinders on. He knows what to do and he makes it happen. One day it's Michael Jordan, next day it's Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant. Doesn't matter who the characters are. He knows what to do, and he's the boss. He makes it very clear. I don't care. You could be a superstar, God sent, God's gift to humanity, but in my team, this is the way it is. Everybody, does what I want. I'm the leader, right? And I think great practice owners, I've seen the same thing. They know what to do. They know what those 20% activities are, and they just stay disciplined. I have met countless of them. People have gone from 0 to $5 million. People have worked 3 days a week and may take $1 million home. There's all kinds of flavors, right? That comes down from your goals and, what you consider to be success, right? Some people it's work less and do great dentistry and, make a lot of money. Other people it's build massive practices with associates and be a business owner. Like, whatever your flavor is, there's no like right or wrong flavor for success. Whatever your flavor of success is, figure out what that 80-20 is. And of course, I just gave you the marketing 80-20.
Yeah, no, I love it. There's so much wisdom and knowledge in what you just mentioned there and that. So we're just going to move right on to the next question because I don't have any follow-up to that. That was perfect. So next question, Naren, is what do you think the cost is of not following the 80-20 rule when you're engaging in your own marketing program?
Yeah, I think it's going in circles, like I have seen, like, typically our best customers are the ones who have been going in circles for a long time. They go to a conference, some guy, or gal, nicely dressed, wows them with some blah, blah, blah. And they get excited about it. They don't think deeply. Remember, I talked about thinking slow and thinking fast. Instead of thinking slow, they think fast. They just get excited about whatever is in front of them, or some gimmick, some gadget, whatever. And then they make a decision, irrationally. And then they try it. After a year, they wake up and like, oopsies, it doesn't work. And they go find the next person, again, somebody they run into or somebody who calls them, who does a good job in selling to them. Like, great salespeople can sell anything, right? And then that doesn't work. They go in circles, right? And they spend money on ads, waste money. Literally, it's 5 to 10 times more. They are dependent on PPO, which is, 30 times more, right? Because for a PPO patient, you are paying a tax, which is a marketing fee for the privilege of taking care of that patient. Now you are getting a write-off every time that patient comes in. If the patient is with you for 10 years, that write-off could be like $5,000. So your marketing fee for that single patient is $5,000, meaning every year, half of what you make goes in the form of this tax or write-off to the insurance company. How do you make money when you do dumb, stupid things like that, right? But 80-90% of practices, unfortunately, still are like losing $5,000 per patient on marketing. So they go in circles. They just keep doing the things that common sense and logic says shouldn't be done. But because they haven't figured out the 20% activities, and because they haven't built the discipline to stick with it, they're just going in circles. Now, making sense? And so when they come to us and we kind of show them a different way, help them understand the fundamentals, help them like stick with it, they become lifelong friends. Like 90% plus of our clients never leave us. In marketing, typically, the average marketing company only keeps a client for like 12 to 18 months. Our clients stay with us 15 years, 12 years on average. Only time we lose somebody's DSO buys the company and they have their own marketing team, or the doctor, has a health reason and is no longer able to produce. Usually in those cases, we end up working with a new owner. So I think life is easy. Once you realize the secrets and you have the discipline to follow the secrets, life is like super easy. And it's not complicated. I mean, if Elon Musk, a student once upon a time, is now the richest man on the earth, he was a student with 100,000 in loan. And if he can become the richest man on earth, there's some secret to secrets, right? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He figured it out, and he just got better at, leveraging those secrets that most of us don't seem to be able to grasp, nor have the discipline to stick with.
Yeah, because I think a lot of us are kind of stuck on the hamster wheel, right? We're doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. Isn't that the definition of insanity?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I think it's kind of funny though. We learn so much, but we never learn to think. We never learn to ask simple questions like, what are the fundamentals? What are the 20% activities? And most of these things will just jump out at you. Like, try to understand the fundamentals, right? Helping people find you, like you, and choose you. That's it. That's all marketing is. And then, okay, how do I help people find me? Okay, figure it out, right? With ads or without ads, and which one is better, and which one is cheaper. It's simple. Just ask these simple questions, and then have the discipline and the guts to stick with it. A truth is a truth is a truth. Like physics is true, psychology is true. Like people are the way they are for the last 200,000 years. Those things don't change. And I love that quote from Jeff Bezos, who said, everyone keeps asking me, what's going to change? What's going to change? I think the better question is what's not going to change. Human behavior is not going to change. It hasn't changed in 200,000 years. It's going to be the same. So build your business, build your success around the things that are not going to change. Right. The way people make decisions hasn't changed. I have to find you, I have to like you, I have to choose you. That's it. Nothing less.
Yeah, the formula is so simple.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of thinking, in a day and age where dentistry is a hard career, it's a stressful career. And, a lot of times, a lot of doctors fall out of love with their profession very quickly, right? When things are not working well. And you talked about Phil Jackson and the Chicago Bulls and the Lakers. Holy smokes. And I followed those teams when I was younger, in the 80s and 90s. And I imagine that playing on those teams as a player, you love life because winning was part of your daily interaction, right? You were winning and winning and winning and putting those championship rings on your finger, So when you apply that to dentistry in terms of just falling out of love with your profession, and being on that hamster wheel, that cycle of busyness, but not affecting change, right? Not affecting the productivity or the marketing business effectiveness that you're looking for. How does applying the 80-20 rule in marketing, how does that help you get back to enjoying dentistry again?
Yeah, you're asking an excellent question. I was just thinking of Phil Jackson again, right? So the advantage of leaders like Phil Jackson is they create other leaders. Mm-hmm. Let's look at Kobe Bryant. Let's look at Shaquille O'Neal. Let's look at Michael Jordan, of course, the legend. And let's look at Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr was this no-name three-pointer. His job was just stand there and shoot 3 points for the Bulls. He's one of the best coaches right now. I think he won a championship recently, right? So what happens is he learned the secrets, I'm assuming, through osmosis or whatever, by watching Phil Jackson.
Yes.
Now, Michael Jordan is worth, I don't know, $2 billion. So he figured out some of those same secrets and applied to life and business. And he's one of the richest, sports people ever to have walked this earth, right? Again, he didn't apply it in basketball. He tried doing things in basketball, but he couldn't figure it out. But the same principles he applied. I mean, you know how the deal with Nike is, right? Every time you sell an Air Jordan, Michael Jordan gets 5%. So if they do 10 billion, he gets a $200 million check for doing nothing. It's brilliant, right? It's amazing. But he figured out that secret. And I think a lot of people credit, there's a movie about how Nike did that deal, his mother for it. She's like, okay, I want a piece of the action. I want my son to get a piece of the action every time you guys sell a shoe with his name on it, Air Jordans. And they said, no, can't do. The very first deal Nike ever made. Of course, rest is history. Nike was a tiny company. Like today, it's a giant, right? So it not only helped Michael Jordan, but it helped Nike to become this unbelievable brand. Shaquille O'Neal, again, very successful entrepreneur, right? I'm sure you've heard of, he's worth like $500 million. He owns so many things, So he again took some of those basic principles, the 80-20 rule type thinking, applied it to that. Kobe Bryant, the late Kobe Bryant. Of course, he was a legend. I know a lot of young people. I didn't follow Kobe Bryant because he was just behind me. I followed Michael Jordan. But I know the 30-year-olds today, they look up to this guy, and he had a massive influence. So he again, very wealthy, very influential. Again, they figure out these 80-20 rules. And one of the things that Kobe is famous for is everybody else works 4 hours, he will work 8 hours. He's just he's not happy with being good. He has to be exceptional. He has to be in a league of his own, right? Again, that's one of those 80-20 principles, because remember, as a basketball player, you have 48 minutes, and what you do with that 48 minutes makes or breaks your life, your team's life, your records, how many championships you win. So he became so good at making the most out of those 48 minutes.
Yeah.
So I do think same thing with dentistry. So my advice is start studying this. This is the beauty of human mind. When you start looking for this, there's a famous quote that I believe in wholeheartedly. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. When you start looking for 80-20, you will start, listening to people who are talking like this. You will start embracing those ideas, not just in marketing, but in all parts of your life. Start looking at those people who have built a business the way you would like to build a business. Talk to them. I know when I was growing up, I would pick up the phone and call people and they would answer me or send them an email and say, hey, can I buy you lunch or can I have a quick chat? I've never had anybody say, no, I don't want to help you. Especially people who have been there, done that in the shoes that you're in. People love to help. Of course, don't call somebody down the street because they might feel a little bit of competition. Call somebody in a different state. Call somebody, 5 hours away, right? That's all over the place. Gravitate towards people who have the kind of behaviors or who have the kind of success you want to have. Figure out where they're putting their attention, where are they focusing, and do that, right? But another trick I learned is you can't copy everything from that person. For example, even though I'm a huge fan of Steve Jobs and Elon Musk, I don't try to learn how to be a great dad from either of those guys. You know what I mean? They're probably crappy dads. There's books written about how crappy they were as dads. So of course, just because somebody's amazing at something doesn't mean they're amazing at something else. Another mistake we make is we kind of make them gods and we just follow them blindly. No. Use your common sense. Where they have the behaviors that you want to emulate to create that kind of success, go for it. But don't emulate them on everything. Just emulate them on the things they're good at, things where you would like to be like them, right? And another thing I had to learn is not be jealous. I know a lot of people, they don't like to talk about successful people because subconsciously it makes them feel small. Get excited about people who are doing better than you. Don't look at them as competition. Don't look at them as something to, frown upon, get excited about this. So I think it's just a lot of these psychological mindset type stuff that made the most of. I'm like 50 this year, and that kind of made me who I am. Like 300-person company, and the best thing I love is 90% of my clients stay with me year after year, and I'm focused on it, and I focus on what is the keys for that success, and I just do those few things again and again and again. I think anyone can do this. Anyone can do this.
Yeah. No, I love it. We have to get out of being creatures of bad habits and being willing to be open to be creatures of good habits, and when you find those good habits and they consistently work, you look back and you realize, holy smokes, was that a simple formula? The action to get there is usually the hardest, right?
I'll tell you something that I have been struggling with a lot. Losing weight. I'm extremely good at every other part of my life. I make plans. I figure out the 20% activities that make 80% of the difference, and I just focus. My health and my weight, it's a struggle. And I realized what was missing. I didn't have someone I needed to be accountable. And also I didn't have a strong enough why. And it took me a while to figure it out. And of course, I was talking to my friend, my roommate, actually, he lost 60 pounds and he kept it off. And he kind of helped me find those blind spots. I didn't see it because my why was always about my kids and so forth, but they don't need me anymore. So this idea that they want to be independent and do their own thing. I mean, they're all like adults now. So that's not my why anymore. So what's my why? My why is, doing XYZ over the next 25 years. So I better be healthy to do those things, right? So that's the why. And the second piece that was missing for me is accountability. I needed someone who I respected, who's going to check in on me on a daily basis and say, buddy, how is it going? Or if I don't, give them an update. So I track a few metrics. For me, the secrets are, fasting for 12 or more hours. So at the end of the day, I send a text to him saying, hey, today I did 14, that's one. Two is cutting out red meat and sweet, because usually if I cut out red meat and sweet, pretty much I'm eating healthy, right? Because I'm only eating in 6 or 7 hours or 8 hours. Third is sleep, right? So minimum 7 hours. So again, I'll let him know, hey, did I get the 7 hours of sleep? Fourth is 30 minutes of walking, so hey, it's a yes or no. And I think a lot of us have been thinking, especially when it comes to health, more is better. I think new science is showing you don't need more. Just you need consistency. You need it yes. Frequently, right? So 30 minutes of walking, zone 2, right? You know what zone 2 is.
Yep.
And then last but not least, just drinking a lot of liquids, water. So again, I'll let him know, hey, again, I'm not precise. I don't count everything, but I just know, okay, instead of 2 liters, I only drank 1.5 liters. I just send it to him. If I don't, he will check in with me because I respect him. I take it seriously. I don't want to let this person I respect down because to me, not only am I letting myself down, I'm also letting him down, right? I don't like to let people down. So that's a kind of a wiring in my brain that I hacked. I realized I'm much more serious about not letting other people down versus letting myself down. The problem I think I had is when I let myself down, I don't do it. Okay, whatever. I don't think about it. The minute there is accountability, the minute there's a customer, or minute there's an employee, or minute there's somebody else you respect on the other side, I take it seriously. Now, that's my hack. I'm not saying that's your problem or that's your hack. I'm just telling you just have to find that secret, find that 20% that you have been missing that's making you go in circles, and then zoom in on that.
No, I love that. That's when you really think about 80-20 rules and being effective and kind of getting into good habits, I'm a big believer that it is so important to have the right people around you to help you maintain accountability, right? And so, this is all great stuff, Naren. I've never talked about marketing from this perspective, but you've kind of opened up my mind to so many different possibilities as it pertains to the 80-20 angle, right? So if I'm a dentist and I'm hearing you and I'm like, what is the next step if I want to focus on this 80-20 style of marketing plan? What do you recommend here, Naren?
Yeah, I think step one is you need to do an audit, right? Just like you do audit on, I did my audit on my health and why am I going in circles? And of course, I did it with my friend who has gone through that journey and has succeeded and who I had a lot of faith in. So I would listen to him as opposed to somebody else who I did not have faith in. So I would recommend doing what we call a marketing strategy meeting, which is like a complete audit. So we'll tell you when it comes to helping people find you, how are you doing? Are you doing exceptionally well or you are not? If you're not doing exceptionally well, what do you need to fix so that you can do exceptionally well within 12 months? Like literally like a roadmap. So both a report card and then a roadmap to get all A's. And then when it comes to helping people like you, again, how are you doing? A report card and a roadmap. And finally, when it comes to helping people trust you, how are you doing? Report card and a roadmap. It's like we spend 6 hours, we look at your competition, we look at you. And then when we figure all of that stuff out, we'll present all of that to you in a very effective meeting where you know exactly what to do. And that's our gift to you. It's a $900 gift, no catch. You don't need to sign up with us. You don't need to work with us, but it's a great way for you to figure out if this is right for you. If this strategy that I shared with you, which is I want to help people find me. I want to dominate that space. I want to help people like me. I want to be the best at that space. And finally, I want to help people trust me or choose me. And I want to be the best at it. So if this resonates with you, then book the marketing strategy meeting. The link is insuranceuntangled.com/MSM for marketing strategy meeting. Is that correct?
Yep. That's right. Well, this is perfect, Naren. My message to Dennis is that if you don't have a solid strategy, this is the perfect time to create one. And that's exactly why we partner with Equa Marketing, is to help everybody create a marketing strategy. And so do that marketing strategy meeting with our partners at Equa Marketing. They'll help you build a solid plan and highlight the 20% efforts that will drive 80% of your practice's growth. And so hopefully that's something that'll be very beneficial in attracting the right patients, be less stressful, grow faster, and enjoy life in dentistry all over again. So Insurance Untangled /MSM to take advantage of that. Naren, wow, this was an amazing episode. Thank you so much for your insights. I could sit here all day and ask so many follow-up questions, especially about the sports. Me being a sports guy, I love that kind of talk. So thank you so much for opening up your wisdom with us today, Naren. We truly appreciate that. And to our listeners, thank you again for joining us today on another amazing episode of the Insurance Untangled podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, give us some love. Share this with people. Give us some positive reviews on any platform that you use. And of course, don't forget to visit us at insuranceuntangled.com for future webinars, as well as all episodes that might be of interest to you. Until we meet again, folks, we wish all of you the best of success. Take care now.